If there is any scene that shows what an assault rifle is, it's this one.
Say hello to my little friend!
Say hello to my little friend. That's all he needs to say. And then it's like Tony Montana has activated a magic spell, and there sure is a lot of magic in this scene. Enemy after enemy goes down without a hitch. He might as well have become an Achilles for the modern world. But we all know how it ends. Here's the thing, though. Even that ending was not exactly realistic, for a lot of reasons. First reason, how fast do you think Tony Montana would have needed to reload? The writers did not notice. Hollywood knows nothing about assault rifles, which are not really assault rifles, by the way.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Unlimited ammo, no reloading, no problemo. Sure, Tony Montana does reload in the scene. Not all Hollywood stars do, but he was using an M16A1 rifle with a standard 30-round magazine. How long would it take for him to run out of ammo if this was how he decided to use his weapon? Just do the math. The M16A1 fires at a rate of 700 to 900 rounds a minute. That's 12 to 15 rounds per second. So if he was using a standard 30-round magazine, he could keep up with this fire for less than 3 seconds without having to reload. And remember, that's me being very nice with my math. Tony Montana did reload, but he was not exactly trying to be careful with his shots to conserve his ammo. So he would have needed to reload a lot more than what he did. And what would that mean for his body? My guess is he would wind up taking a lot more bullets in it, for starters. Are you still sure you want to let your rifle rip on full auto? Another major issue with full auto is that the barrel hit will build up much faster, which will affect accuracy by reducing muzzle velocity and creating mirage from the hot air. It will also increase the chance of a jam. All of it while leading to a potential cook-off.
Oh my God, leave it, leave it, leave it! Just f***ing leave it! They're gonna blow fire in your face, you f***ing donkey!
And barrel damage. This is why military guidelines often require a 3-minute cooldown if you fire 90 rounds back-to-back in full auto. That's 3 of those. Tony Montana was a few seconds away from melting his barrel. Full auto mode. Let it rip. You're starting to see why in the military we usually do not prefer to use our assault rifles on full auto mode, like Tony Montana or like Dutch from Predator. He was not worried about reloading either. I mean, come on, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger we're talking about. Because when a camouflaged alien is chasing you, you don't get to go to the chopper. You use your assault rifle and let the rounds fly into the jungle. Then you have nothing to worry about. And just look here. Neo and Trinity would not look nearly as cool going against all these bad guys if they were shooting on semi-auto mode. And Neo's alter ego, John Wick, would not look as cool if he was not sending many rounds downrange with each trigger pull. At least he was doing it sort of right. More on that later. But let's just say that if these were my tactics when I was a platoon leader, I would be asking to be removed from my command about as fast as Taylor Swift removed herself from her old boyfriends. In a real battle, you're not going to be using full auto mode for your assault rifle in this way, unless you are providing cover fire. For a more realistic look, we can watch this scene from Black Hawk Down. Great movie. Let's clarify one thing. Semi-auto means you have to pull the trigger once for every round you're firing. One pull of the trigger, one round. So for multiple rounds, multiple pull of the trigger. Full auto means you pull the trigger and then it will keep on firing until you release your trigger. Even under heavy fire, the troops here are shooting their M16s on semi-auto mode. Why? Because it's more accurate. Since you are only dealing with one recoil at a time, it's easier to control your aim. It also helps a lot managing your ammo consumption. That's right, the real world is not like what you saw when Tony Montana was introducing people to his little friend, or when Dutch was spraying and praying to find the predator. Recoil would have affected them. They would have run out of ammo very quickly and see their barrels melt. But there's something else that you'll need to be aware of. Something that Tony Montana probably does not even know exists. Ballistics. When you think of the ballistics of a shot, you're probably thinking about snipers, not people with assault rifles. Since assault rifle engagements typically take place at ranges like the ones you saw in Black Hawk Down, you might think that the ballistics of the shot won't matter that much. Wrong. The Delta snipers here were using the M16 chambered for the 5.56 NATO round. If you have a 100-yard zero on your rifle, it means the bullet will impact exactly at what you're aiming at 100 yards. With the 5.56, at 25 yards, you can expect the shot's impact to be almost an inch higher than your aim. Most of the shots in this scene were happening at about 25 yards, give or take. It was pretty close. So do ballistics matter that much? Yes. Especially at longer but typical engagement ranges, the ballistics matter even more. At 200 yards, the bullet's impact will be about 3 inches lower than your aim. For them, it gets quickly much worse to about 32 inches low at 400 yards. So when you get an assault rifle in your hands, you're not going to suddenly be like Iron Man and get real-time information to adjust your ballistics, which means that if you are Tony Montana and going full blast like that, you are going to have an even harder time. Against people who know what they're doing, Tony's shots would miss, and he would just be posting a "shoot me" note on his chest. I like those Rangers' chances of winning their firefight much better. Heroic accuracy. Don't worry about practice or skills. Okay, so why do these weapons come with a full auto mode to begin with? That is a good question. It is usually about laying down suppressing fire to either launch a flank attack or to keep the enemy pinned for armor, artillery, or air support to blow them into orbit. Full auto mode usually is not for infantry engagements. That means Tony Montana and Dutch were doing it all wrong. John Wick is a different story. Here he is, calmly mowing people down with his HK-416. There is some realism here. He runs out of ammo and needs to use his pistol as a fallback. And he's at point-blank range, so ballistics don't matter that much. But recoil still does, especially in full auto mode, as recoil will make your aim creep up. To John Wick's credit, he was using short burst, which will mitigate recoil a lot. That is truly heroic accuracy. But could he have been able to do that in real life? Actually, yes, with a lot of training and practice. Indeed, John Wick had a lot of training. So yes, it's doable. But don't think you're going to become like John Wick just because you picked up a rifle. You will need to get good at reloading, handling recoil, and adjusting your ballistics when the enemy appears a little smaller in your vision. And you will also, above all, need to make sure you know how to not hurt yourself. But before we get to it, please consider subscribing. It helps me to keep this channel going. And now, how about some unsafe and unrealistic gun handling? John Wick reloaded effortlessly. If Dutch were even shown doing it at all, it would be the same. It is not as easy as it seems, and it requires training and practice. And Tony Montana, it's even more of a feat, considering he shows no signs of having any training. And there are bullets flying all around him trying to put a new hole in his head. And it gets worse than that. What would he, or somebody like Rambo, have done if their guns jammed? Yep, that doesn't usually happen in movies in the middle of a climactic battle. But guess what? In real life, guns jam. Especially assault rifles in full auto mode. Jam rates are about 1 to 2% on semi-auto or short burst mode, doubling to about 4% in full auto, and all these with clean rifles and good ammo. In adverse conditions, sand, dust, over 500 rounds without cleaning, these rates climb up to about 4% in semi-auto and 6% in full auto. Maybe it's not such a problem if you're Dutch, with a minigun-toting squad to back you up, but going Tony Montana is asking for trouble.
You think you can take me?
Jams or misfeeds will need to be cleared. And it doesn't just happen with a simple flick of the switch. With good training, you can reduce the time to clear to a few seconds. For all of you military types who love acronyms, the military is using sports guidelines. Slap, pull, observe, release, tap, shoot. It is still a lot of time when people are shooting at you, or your team relies on your combat effectiveness. Not clearing the gun properly will do more than put you at risk of getting shot. It can lead to accidental discharges or to catastrophic barrel damage or injury if you're firing a round while there's another one in the barrel. There's a good chance that Tony Montana's rifle would jam by going bonkers like he does. Would he be as good as clearing the jam? My guess he probably would not be. The writers just skirted around that problem by pretending jams don't ever happen. And speaking of safety issues, please no moving around with your finger on the trigger. You're smart enough to know why that is a bad idea.
Yeah, all right.
Before we get back to our favorite action heroes, we might as well just say it. That assault rifle they're using is not an assault rifle. Before we clarify that, please consider clicking on the link in the video description to get a free resource list of rangers, stores, books, and our newsletter. The myth, the legend. You have seen the AR-15, and no, that does not mean Assault Rifle 15. It is Armalite Rifle 15. Armalite was the company that created back in the 50s based on Eugene Stoner's design. Then, the design got licensed to Colt, which made the fully automatic military version you just saw, in Black Hawk Down. It was called the M16. Earlier, there was the STG-44. STG, it means Sturmgewehr, assault rifle. It was the first weapon to use an intermediate cartridge, a bullet between a pistol round and a battle rifle round, like the Mauser of the M1 Garand. And the STG-44 influenced the AK-47 you definitely know. Thus, the assault rifle was a compromise between the older, longer range, more powerful rifles like the M1 Garand and submachine guns like the Thompson or the MP40. But trust me, when people talk about this, they mean the AR-15, which, again, doesn't mean Assault Rifle 15. Okay, so how quickly would Tony Montana bite the dust like he did? My guess is a few seconds. But how fast do you think it bites the dust? Let me know in the comments.